Adam will speak after that.
Yeah, so basically just what Noel was saying, and then also like with yes, I did. Okay, for the touch and go, honestly, most people that were doing the touch and go pretty much exactly how we want into 3, they were coming in with their back bumper basically at the first cone of the touch and go and then immediately transitioning, and then that was basically setting them up perfect. So everybody that's kind of like going past the touch and go, you're almost like choking up essentially the follow driver once you actually have to transition, because you're going to be, you know, having to throw so much angle to be able to make it into 3. So that's kind of like the critical part of the track that we've been looking at. And then the other part is trying to make it out to 2. Honestly, like leaving outside zone 1 and driving out towards 2 is going to be better than like hanging out after 2 and then trying to make it out there, because like it's kind of a long drag to get out to 2. You need that speed as much as you can. But also taking sort of more of a midline around around into going towards 2, or sorry, going towards the touch and go, that's going to set you up better for that transition. So like instead of like taking the shallower line on the inside, basically taking more of a more decreasing radius, like where you're starting out from outside zone 2, coming out to the outside, and then coming in with your back bumper through 2 and then throwing it around, seems to be working better for some people. And that would be something that I would be looking at trying to do myself. We're really wanting to reward like throttle commitment, you know, less pedaling, less left foot braking. You know, I mean, if we're seeing somebody coming through, say like 2, we saw a bunch of people coming in with their inside wheel completely locked all the way around. And I mean, I don't have a problem with left foot braking, but like, you know, if you're literally just dragging the inside tire, this isn't a bank, you know. You should be able to get out there with speed and momentum instead of like relying on your left foot to get you out there. But plus, that's going to make for better tandem anyway if people are not getting choked up behind people, you know. So that's the main things that we're looking at. And here, I'll pass it over to Adam here. I'm sure he's got more to add.
We'll get to questions right after. Just real quick. Basically everything that they said. And then I just want to let you guys know that Outer Zone 2 moved a lot throughout practice. We saw the cones and all that stuff. So right now all the cones are going to be marked with spray paint, so they're not going to move anymore. Just get into your zones, drive a good line. I want to see a good commitment on your entry, and that's going to get you good, you know, X factor points. The smoother you are, the more X factor, you know, the more throttle modulation and more corrections you have to make, obviously, the more inductions. So go ahead. Any questions we have? That's correct. So Outer Zone 3, all of the zones moved kind of throughout practice. We were trying to have them set up for you guys, but we also wanted to keep pushing practice along. So now you guys are going to have solid visual targets, okay? So that's been most of everybody's challenge. If you're throwing it in too deep, it's because the cones aren't there. It's not because you're not skilled enough to put it there. So now the cones are just going to be solid, so you guys really won't have to worry about that. The zones will be more solidly marked. So we're going to have like a rear tire mark. There's actually going to be and the touch and go, as well as Outer Zone 3. What if we laid down, like, yeah, they're restriping it right now, but if we were to lay down the cones maybe before the one cone? I get you. A little thicker. I mean,
Okay, so you're saying before the pocket, we should have been clear on this.
Entry. So this is
Hey, how you doing?
Application on
I'm
the
Nico
DC
Christidis, the owner of Golden.
zone is not zone. It's more of like a pocket right in between the 3-cone and the entry to outer zone 1, right? There's like a small decel there, right? So the other decel is going to be coming out of outer zone 2 going into this pocket. There's a small decel in between there. We're a little bit lenient on that. We want to see you committed, but go ahead.
So what we're going to do is everybody's going to get their one run. You get points, you're going to be in it. If you have a 0, back out to try to get your points back. But I think if we can all agree to that, then we can kind of get going in the competition. Everybody's cool with that. Huh? I was going to say, if you get points, you're not going to be knocked out because there's only... It's a form of... It will be knockout, but if you get points, you won't be knocked out because there's nowhere for you to go. So the 0s would run again. There is no second run if you get points. The only reason you go again is if you get a 0. Yeah, they would be on the bottom. They would be on the knockout side. Yes, they'd be lower. They can't bump you down. They won't be able to bump you down. Yes. You're still 20. Yeah, you're still down the 20 somewhere. You're down low. Also, 5-minute calls. You guys are only getting 1. Everybody understands that? Do not touch the car until our tech, Sam or JJ, shows up. If you guys touch the car, it's called instantly. We're going to play it. What happens? Oh, yeah, you'll get sight laps. Yeah, of course. Yeah, of course you'll get a sight lap. We can do 1 practice lap if you guys want to before. If everybody's not 100% clear on where their cones are staying, we can let everybody do. Or we can just send it. Everybody feels good? Okay. Any other questions at all? So you're allowed to put it up on jack stands. You're allowed to end your 5-minute call on jack stands and safely taken down. All right. It is the same judging as Formula Drift. You have 90 points. You'll get deductions to whatever you get, and there is a 10-point allowance for X Factor. All right. All these points are logged in the computer. If you want to know later, we can go ahead and we'll be posting them. So. No, there's no sector scoring anymore. Yeah, there's no line, there's no angle, and there's no style judges anymore. All 3 judges do all. Yes. Yeah, everybody starts with 90. You get deductions. Your bonus of 10. No one's ever got 10, I don't think, ever in the world yet. So, no one got a 10. It's not possible. No one knows what it is. Okay. Yeah. Oh yeah. Restart light. We can give you a quick flash of it. 3 banners right in the middle. Dead straight ahead. When you're at the front line, we will give you a test. It's probably gonna be harder to see from here when you're running up. It's you in between. Colton, where'd he go?
No, you can't see it from here. All right, so guys, on track, if you're going into your initiation, dead center, right in your line of sight, you're going to see 3 banners on the wall. The light is literally on top. So if it's going off, it's really hard for you to miss it. Yeah, not a problem. Well, like I said, it's from the point of view from there. So you guys want to walk out here a little bit? No, not the media box, behind it. You see it? Ah, now we got it. Yeah. So, right there, it's going off. You see it? Yeah, I mean.
All right. Does anybody have any more questions? This is your last chance for questions. Don't come up and ask questions later. Everybody has to have the same answers. All right, everybody knows their qualifying order. Everybody's good? All right. Once again, thank you. Guys, we'll be on live stream. If you don't mind sharing it, getting it going, getting all your friends and couldn't make it there, it'd be great.
This is on the live stream? I'm on the live stream? Holy cow, this voice is with Dustin Motors. Absolutely. Well, I'm sure I will say this more than once, but welcome to the live stream, guys. Welcome to Formula Drift. Drift Sir, I am here. It's all YouTube approved. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to US Drift Series legendary Sebring Raceway. This is Dustin with Dustin Motors, and I want to let you guys know I am beyond excited for you to be here, and I'm excited for you to be tuned. Definitely make sure to share this link with your friends. I'm going to be reposting it on my story, and all the drivers, I would love to do that as well. That way we can all grow this sport and get the attendance up. More attendance is more sponsors, more tires, more fun. Let's go have fun, guys. For everybody that's currently on the live stream, I really appreciate you guys being there. We are getting the action getting going here soon. We're getting all the drivers back into their place. We had our drivers meeting going over everything. Now that's a really good spot for our judges and drivers to really communicate on what they're looking for on this competition. They're going to let them know the outer zones, the inner zones, clipping points, all those kind of things, touch zones. It's going to be all kinds of stuff. So they're going to go through and the judges basically explain what they're looking for. Now the judging style is a little different than previous years. All 3 judges are going to be given 100 points. 90 points for judging line, style, and angle, and 10 points each for X Factor. Now what is X Factor? That's the big question that's been through all of FD. Nobody really knows. When you see a run and it makes you tingle, that's X Factor, all right? It's kind of like what makes you say, I want to go talk to this person. It's that gut feeling, and that's what they're looking for. They're looking for you to have a solid run, and they're really wanting you to throw that X up in there. It's true, man. Nobody really knows what X Factor is. I'm getting some laughing out here. If you guys aren't out here or you want to come on out, definitely check the event schedule. Goodness gracious, I can say words. The event schedule, and check it out. Make sure you guys are able to come on out here. All the drivers are in the pits. It's open pits. You're available to come on out. You're able to come say hi to me, other people, probably cooler, but whatever. I'm here, and I think you guys should be too. I know this is how I want to spend my Saturdays, and I'm excited to be at all of the upcoming US Drift Circuit, Formula Drift, Pro-Am Series events. Check. Check. All right, ladies and gentlemen, on the stream, the video should be coming up here soon. We are getting ready for our first run here for qualifying. Should be Tyler Hess coming up. I believe he is in the red Corvette, if I'm not mistaken.
Here we go. Yeah, we're getting started right now. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Hello and welcome back to Sebring International Raceway for round 1 of what is sure to be another exciting season of US Drift Circuit Formula Drift Pro-Am, brought to you by OMP, Racing, Shift Culture, Golden Grown, and Link ECU. It sounds like mine.
Here he is warming up his tires. if you are on the stream currently, we are working on getting the picture up, and we will have the picture up hopefully before this first run. Well, once again, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to US Drift Series Formula Drift Pro-Am at legendary Sebring Raceway. Let's go ahead and start this off. We're going to be having our first qualifying run here by Tyler Hess. And I don't know about you, but I'm pumped.
Yeah, an extremely exciting grid out there today. A lot of the drivers came out to play, and they're very serious this season. We saw a big amount of diversity, and you and I were talking about this earlier today, how last season we saw a big diversity of drivers. This season it seems like we've got a lot more serious build cars. So we're taking a look at this first qualifying run. We want to see him getting really deep in there. The judges are looking for a lot of track utilization. So here he goes, making his way to the outside zone. He's going to try and fill the entire area, getting really too close for comfort for those cones out there. Getting all the way out now. The judges have talked about this. Getting as wide on this corner as possible is the best way to set yourself up for this next clip. This clip the driver's making his way past is going to make or break most of these runs today. And that is your first qualifying run of round 1 of US Drift Circuit 2023. Not too bad for a first run, I'd say.
No, definitely going to... Definitely a good run there. No, I know. I think that the bias is different. I just don't want to be yelling all day. I think this one might be talk. So warming up his tires now for the next run is going to be Brad St. Germain coming on in. Driving the BMW.
Are you on Judge 1?
All right, so if you're joining us for the first time and you're watching qualifying, all these drivers are going to get a chance to do about 2 runs to try and lock down a solid qualifying score. Lots of drivers will have complete different opinions about the way they want to go about this. Some of these drivers are going to want to be really competitive on that first run and use it as an opportunity to go absolutely crazy and see if they can lock down the highest score possible. And then if they miss up at that point, it's an opportunity to just be really conservative on that second run. And other drivers will take the complete opposite approach. You'll see some drivers come out here, they want to baby it through the corners, lock in something safe so they can be part of the main show, and then come back with something aggressive once they've completed that on that first run.
So actually in the drivers meeting, they let us know that the first run is the points number that you are going to get, and if you do not qualify that first run with a low score or whatever, then you're going to be under everybody that qualified in the first round.
Oh,
so
okay.
it's a little bit different on this one. I'm not exactly sure what brought that on. I don't know if it's a speed thing, just because the number that we have here, everybody's going to be advancing in the top 32 if they complete a run here and have numbers down. So I think that's what's given to that aspect.
And I imagine for a lot of drivers, that's going to be something that absolutely alleviates some of the pressure, because coming out here, a lot of these drivers are coming from really far distances. So to be out here and have a bigger grid where you might not even be able to make your spot in the show, at least to know you just have to complete a run is a great peace of mind.
Absolutely. Brad coming in here and throwing it down, big e-brake to slow down, just grabbing as much speed as he can, coming into, looks like third gear, trying to get into that outer first zone here, not quite making it. The exact opposite we just saw from the first run, but taking the second one in stride and getting right on that midline that they're looking for in this curve here. Going for the touch and go, grabbing it nicely and trying to fill that outer last zone, but only making it in the end and then going off track there. Now, I'm not exactly sure how the judges are going to be looking at that. I know what FD does. I know it's been done in prior judging, but I do believe they are doing a 2-tire off system for a 0. So if they're going to be doing that at the end in that zone, that's up to the judges.
Yeah, that's been a rule that's changed a lot over the years. It's actually been to a point in the past where it was just simple 2 tires off was always a 0. In the past, also on the Pro-Am level, we've seen it be 3 tires off. And personally, in my opinion, I think if you keep the rules strict and you make it so these drivers have to abide with as much talent as possible, that's the best way to prepare them for the next stages, because they're going straight from here to one step closer to becoming world-class drivers. And it's important that this actually prepares them for just that.
Oh, absolutely. And these drivers, not saying they're not world class, it's kind of like going through finishing school. These guys are trying to iron out the kinks, just like with any program. The more you do it, the more repetition, the more tire, the more seat time, the better you're going to get. It's not all about horsepower, but at a certain level, you got to also have the horsepower. You have to have the car, the build. And I mean, the field is insane. Some of these cars could be at FD right now. I mean, I'm looking at Taylor's Corvette here, and I'm getting Max Powers vibes. You know, I would love to see it out there and battling out in the Oval. We just finished up FD at Orlando. Had an amazing time out there with some of this tire sponsors that we even have here with Kenda. So I mean, gosh, I like drifting.
Yeah, well, a lot of these drivers too, I think they can relate as far as they want these cars to be able to take them as far as possible. Their driving talent's going to continue to evolve, but if they can get into Pro-Am and get used to driving these higher power cars and they get really comfortable in that kind of chassis, then hopefully they can stay dedicated to something they're familiar with. Because going through Pro-Am and while coming in with a car that's not FD spec and coming in with something that's lower power, it's extremely impressive. Unfortunately, the mountain only gets steeper and higher from here.
It's 100% true. I currently have a 350Z stock power DE, and when I tell you it's great for doing bro lines, it's great for getting some skid pad runs in, but there's certain tracks where you're fighting elevation and you're fighting a long entrance that, you know, you just don't have the power to pull out of that these Corvettes or other horsepower cars have. I mean, the magic number is over 5, it seems like, and it's crazy that in fun runs you're seeing people that have that consistently, which is very cool, but also crazy. The sport's advancing and it's great.
Well, in the fun runs, they create such a great value, and one of the biggest phrases that have been on T-shirts, if you've been around drifting for a while, eventually you've come across someone who's had the shirt that says, "Keep drifting fun." And no matter what kind of car you show up with at a fun day, you're likely going to see everyone with a smile on their face. But even if you show up today and you're not taking your license one step closer.
I believe we've got Marcelo coming up.
Oh,
with
there you
Zappa, coming in, throwing it nice and wide. Grabbing that angle, and look at that wheel. That front wheel right now is not moving around, and he's in the zone. That is exactly what the judges are going to be looking for, and I'm getting pumped right now just looking at it. He is consistent. Very little bobble there at the entrance of this one, but a very solid run. Way deeper than we really expect to see here. Grabbing a cone on the touch and go, but filling the zone here at the end, which is insane to be able to throw the car that far over with that angle. The judges are going to be looking at that, and it's going to be honestly impressive.
It couldn't be better that right after we talk about a little bit of that car familiarity that we get to see Fellow go on track. If you've known Fellow, then you've known that he is always in that E36. It's all right. He's in a
The list was off. I even though said, I'm like, that looks like Fellow's car in my head, and I didn't.
it changes colors a lot, but we were just talking about the familiarity, and he has been in this scene for a very long time, and he's been very loyal to that same chassis. And as we were talking about those other qualifying runs for those who are watching, so that first run we saw was a 73. The BMW, that was Zalpa, the gray BMW. Unfortunately, that first run is a 0 because he did drop too many tires just right across the finish line while he's making his way across the cone. So hopefully he's going to get another opportunity to put some points down and try to get back into the show. But in the meantime, we have, I believe that's going to be 2 qualifying runs.
Yeah, we're doing the first qualifying run, and I mean, if one and done, if they want it, I think they can go back out for another score. But I think that they're trying to just keep it with a one and done, get your score, and let's get going because of the time crunch. I do want to apologize to Fellow. I love that man. Literally hang out with him all the time. And I saw that car, and I was like, wait a minute, that's... But we had a driver get off the list here, so my order was a little off. I feel like Anchorman right now. He'll read whatever's on the teleprompter.
Well, he may be too happy to be worried about getting the name wrong because thankfully we now have our #1 points leader, and that's with a strong 82 points is what
Woo!
Fellow just wrapped in. So
I knew it was going to be big. I mean, it's crazy. He had a great first zone out there, great initiation. We saw the tiny bobble there and then filled this and somehow went all the way out here and still brought it around through the touch and go and into the zone, which is something we weren't seeing in practice. Not saying he wasn't doing it, but the field was not doing that.
yeah, and this is a track where there's a lot of consequence for most of the drivers, just as a whole, not utilizing the full driving line. We see a lot of the powder. It's hard to tell over the live stream, but here in person, you can see lots of tire marbles making their way around the outside corner of the track. And if these drivers aren't all using that outside zone, and say you have 5 that take, 5 in a row that take that mid line, then the next driver who tries to execute is actually going to run into a lot of slippery surface here with all that tire marble.
Again, if you're on the live stream, I do want to thank you guys for being on here. And I want to give a big shout out to everybody in the stands here. You guys make some noise for yourself sitting out in this Florida heat. Some dedicated fans out here. And I will say the overcastness of the day has been much enjoyed. We're back to our regular scheduled programming here with the sunshine. The Sunshine State's coming through.
This is going to be a hot day, so for the people who are here today, thank you so much for being here, but don't forget to take a moment from the action to drink some water, put out some sunscreen. This is a track that gets really hot when it's hot outside.
Brandon Cox with a big out, coming around, big entrance. Gonna go ahead and try to get it under control there and get into that zone. Just missing the first section of it, but touching it at the end to get that zone at least touched. Coming through and filling in the second zone all the way around, taking a good midline like we've been looking for, filling the whole touch and go, and then coming around and putting that tire all through the paint like he should. I mean, that's a good run there.
That was beautiful. I think that's a little bit of a sketchy exit there. I can already hear the judges deliberating about it, but what a beautiful car. That car came around. It almost looked like it was just a showroom car going around making a lap.
Yeah, I think he's got the sponsor of me going on, a big Talladega reference. He's got the Cougar on the front, just, you know, sponsors are me. I got to see him drive this car, and we actually talked about it before he entered into this competition. He was letting me know at another track saying, hey, I don't know if I'm going to sell it. I don't know if I'm going to do this. I don't know if I'm just going to have fun events. I don't want to get hurt. And I'm like, what did you build the car for? He said, well, to drive. And I said, then why are you worried about driving it? That's the thing. We have these beautiful things, but they were made to do something. And no part of you at the end of the day goes, dang. You know, I wish I wouldn't have driven my car, even if it gets a ding and a dent. I know I've thrown my car into the wall. We all make mistakes. We learn, we build, and we destroy. We build again.
It's almost part of the metamorphosis for some of these drift cars, because it's funny you say that, especially because it's almost like those first impacts. For a lot of guys, they get ahead of it if they have the money. They do the whole tube frame conversion right away. Others, they wait, and then it's as soon as they stuff it, they go, okay, time for an upgrade. Stuff the rear suspension? All right, time for an upgrade. The next thing you know, you have a ProAM car, and a lot of these guys, they're not just drivers. They're great mechanics, extremely talented. So if they do have to mess up something pretty, they actually enjoy, a lot of them, the process of just making it anew again.
I mean, enjoy, I don't know if is the correct word, but are proud.
Are proud of the work.
Because, I mean, I definitely, the metamorphosis was there. I have a tubed front end now because I stuffed it. The car was already broken and messed up, but it wasn't bad enough to really go and cut everything and re-weld stuff in. And so I did that, eventually just took the time and felt that I was comfortable enough with the car. It was driving consistently enough. I did the stuff underneath. Car looked like crap going down the road, but it had WiseFab, had BC coils, had everything taken care of, good lines, good dual brake caliper system. And then it was, all right, let's take the time to paint it. I painted it myself. I mean, every bit of that car I touched and did. And it's cool because you can have these kind of cars just come out of garages that look like show cars. With that second place right now with a 76 Brandon Cox. Wow. He did a good job.
We saw him here last year, I believe, as well, and he's a phenomenal driver. He was doing great out here in practice, and a lot of these drivers, we were talking about this, just watching them go around in practice, is that a lot of them are nailing it right away, and I think the key is going to be consistency, because all the drivers that are here today are clearly capable of running this line, and many of them have now already seen it before. So to just be able to do it consistently and know the right techniques to be able to surge, this is all outside zones. So there's not even a big power deficit, but even if it was, this type of a track would cater to it if you knew how to cut corners and stay close to the lead driver. So I'm very excited to see what we're going to see when we get to tandem competition.
Yeah, speaking of underpowered cars, one of our judges here, which won second place right next to Brandon McDowell, you know, I was there and I picked him up. It was just like, it was insane seeing that little G do all the work. And I love seeing the underdog. There's some pit crew guys out here. Mateo's one of them. He's out here, drives a yellow banana car that was maybe even going to come out here. And it's underpowered in reality, but guess what? That driver knows how to take the line properly without it being a full cut, without it being a whole, dang, you're just diving to get proximity for this one section and then backing out. You know, being able to keep that angle and find it, it's nuts.
And it's a lot of fun to watch these cars go out at opposite lock and just be full throttle, but there's so much between those individual techniques and the nuances, especially for the underpowered guys. They have to find ways to get that grip, to stay close, and then sometimes these cars that have a ton of power, they're actually going to struggle to put that power down. So today what I'm sure you're going to see eventually is a lower powered car staying very, very close to a car you should expect to pull away, but can't seem to create the space.
Here we got one of the local boys, Nathan, coming down with his Mustang. Put nice and round, trying to figure out the power there. Didn't really grab e-brake, but let it roll through. Coming into this outer zone, trying to find some angle. I know that this car is limited on angle based on what it has, so it's not going to show the angle that we've seen on other ones, but he is absolutely locking it out. He's coming around in the touch and go, filling it in, coming in for this outer zone and putting it in. This is one of those situations where it might not have been as fast, might not have been as showy, but he is putting together a solid run.
Yeah, and I'm sure the judges, of course, are always looking for angle as usual. I mean, that is an icon of drifting. But at the same time, if you can't get as much angle, but you're able to execute very smooth transitions, very little corrections, there's situations where even that can actually turn into a win in a tandem. So a lot of different types of combinations of things we're seeing out here. That driver clearly has the power to get it done. It'll be interesting to see what that's going to do for him when he's behind a car that's getting way more angle. It might mean he can stay really close, but he's going to have to try his hardest not to overclock himself on angle.
Yeah, no, overclocking and with those bobbles and adjustments, he's going to try to dive in, and if they check up or if they're in a spot where it's a decel and he's in the dive, if he does that, you're going to see that rear rotation come out like you were just saying, but you're also going to see the lead driver struggle behind him because they're used to putting that full power down. They've been doing lead, and out in the thing, they're getting next to cars that are almost similar. They haven't practiced with everybody. So going behind a slower car, I know for a fact, I love it when I get to do it because it just shows that I can get right next to you and sit there.
Yeah.
And I just look great, and I love it. And great photos come out of it. Everything's good. But with that also, you're trusting that they're not going to do anything wrong because you're in the pocket. But that's the whole gamble here. It's drifting.
Yeah, that's the best training method, honestly, too. A lot of drivers, and it's funny because there's this concept of missile cars and drifting. So if you're new to drifting, a lot of these drivers who are really good, especially in the pros, they've got another car they just don't care about. And to be able to practice getting really close and have as much experience door-to-door where it doesn't count in competition, it only does better. And now with sim racing involved, I mean, half these guys I know personally have sim rigs at home. And I think it's incredible that even what the difference can make. And we actually have some cool surprises coming up later this year that has to do with the series and this track and a certain sim program. I can't divulge too much about that just yet.
Okay, you got my interest, though. I'm actually in the process right now of figuring out how to afford my sim setup. And I'm going to go the budget route. Hopefully, I'll be able to be public about it and, like, share my mistakes and share, you know, the positives that things come out of it. But, I mean, I've gone through so much money in tires this year. The seat time's phenomenal. I'm growing as a driver, but there are people that are practicing 24 hours a day. They don't need to stop because they broke an axle. They don't need to take off. They don't need to wait for the track day. They don't get to do 2-3 track days a month. They're doing 80 track days a week because they're getting that amount of seat time in sim, and I'm seeing it. I saw it with Ryan Acevedo when he come into this field. You know, 2 years ago when he came on this, he was, 16, 15? You know,
Yeah, really young.
Really young, had the sim on under his belt, and he came out and just started dominating. And, I mean, became a driver, became somebody in the list. Oh, we're getting numbers. What's the number, bud?
And Nathaniel Jordan standing with a 66.7.
66.7. I like that they did a 0.7.
Yeah, just making
Just
sure.
to make
You
sure.
never know. What if there's another 66?
Yeah,
You know?
you know. It's the X factor, you know. Coming around, this should be Sergio. Nice smoke here. Coming around, there is a bump out there, which you saw as suspension. Different cars take that differently. Coming around on this transition, nice and smooth. Very smooth. Good angle. A little bit of an adjustment on the front. Touch and goes fully filled. Coming around and is just absolutely in deep into that final zone and barely touching a cone at the end there. I mean, that felt like a Seto.
That's another car that just looks incredibly poised. I mean, we were just talking about Simdra's driving, and I wouldn't be surprised if for him that smoothness came from all that track time.
That's nuts. It was there, you know. And when you see it, slow is fast, fast is slow kind of thing, you know. When you see that aggression, things going, and things that are exciting, especially when you're trying to charge in, that's cool. But throwing down a consistent run to get some points, that man's going to grab some points.
Yeah, I think that's going to be a pretty good qualifying run. But the one thing I'm noticing is really catching up a lot of drivers, and I think is going to be a theme throughout the entire day, is the last two areas of this track the announcer's booth, and then right across the finish line, the corner actually tucks in a little bit. So these drivers are getting all this speed on these huge corners, and they're having to really quickly pivot. We've talked about this multiple times today. This outer zone that's closest to us over here is the exact definition of a touch and go. The moment your rear bumper gets there, you need to immediately pivot and start moving over. And if you still have too much speed when you transition, it's really hard not to overshoot that end. So I'm hoping not too many drivers are going to get zeros in qualifying, because I know we've already seen a couple just for that reason alone. And it'd be a shame to see it happen in competition, but I think right now most of the drivers need to take note that their competitors are going to be struggling with the same thing. That's where you need to work, and that's where you need to tighten up your game.
Yeah, one thing you said with consistency is huge. You know, rules and all that kind of stuff staying the same for everybody. You know, it's a competition. You know, we said it in drivers' meeting, and you might not have heard it on the stream yet, but it's not meant to be easy. It's not made to be impossible. But, you know, just like a Ninja Warrior or something, you know what I mean? Like, you have to be at a certain level to get through it, you know, and then hit times. There's a certain skill level, and we're just trying to find out who's the best. That's what this is for. Also to have fun. But it is a competition.
And today was a hit or miss. There's a lot of speculation about weather conditions. Luckily, I mean, knock on wood, but right now it seems like things are going okay. And I know that we had a couple runs last season where it was almost the entire time was in the rain. We had one event we almost couldn't even get through, went extremely late. So, you know. Yeah, oh, thanks.
That's the one that I was here for. I wanted to be at more of them. It just didn't end up working out with my schedule. I had other events and stuff that I was doing, and life gets in the way of life. But no, that was torrential downpour, and it was just like, what's funny is I went straight from FD Orlando, where it was a monsoon, practically a hurricane, lightning striking the tower, and then I went over here, and I'm like, oh, hopefully this will be better. Nope. We got rained out, poured on, and closed it out. I think we ended that thing at almost like 11 o'clock at night. It was crazy late.
Yeah, very late event, but today it looks like, since we have a little bit of a smaller grid, and it seems like we're doing a good job, we started just a little bit late, but I think we'll be able to make up some time if most of these drivers do good on their first runs. All right, so Sergio currently sitting in third place with a 74. Sergio with a 74, so still Fellow feeling comfortable up there with the 80, what was it, an 82, I believe.
Yeah, well, I mean, of the drivers out here, Fellow is somebody that has been out here. I consider him an OG for sure. There's no doubt in my mind when I first started getting into drifting, he was already in it. He was already going, you know. He's someone that I didn't really get to talk and hang out with at the very beginning of my stuff, but with Miatas and some other cars that I've worked on, we've gotten to hang out and work on stuff together, and it's cool. Very good guy. I know he's working right now on Miatas, I think, full-time, and he's got some really cool stuff in the works, too, for drifting, which you'll be excited to see, hopefully, he posts.
Well, when it comes to driving in general, it's not just seat time at your local track, but track diversity and exposure is a huge thing. And Fellow has seen so many tracks. And when it's come to just being in Florida, he's been around all the way since CFRC, which if you haven't been around in drifting for a while, that's just a couple of letters. But if you've been around long enough, that was, you know, a home and a playground that was very accessible to drifting a long time ago. But Fellow's even, I actually know that for a fact that he's gone all the way out to California for a while, driven out there. So, I mean, the amount of credentials you get as a driver and how versatile you are when you place yourself in different environments, different surfaces, there's nothing that can make up for it. And I think that it shows when he's able to make these quick corrections and just make sure he's exactly where he wants to be with his car.
It reminds me a lot of a driver right now that's doing a lot of traveling. He actually has his whole family in an RV. I'll bring up in here in a second, but we're going to go ahead and see this run by, it should be Eric, coming around. Another Corvette, big e-brake grab, put in the power, coming around, starting the smoke show, filling that zone. Absolutely on it, coming in on a transition, smooth, grabbing the zone, taking a nice mid but deeper line. We're going to see how he handles the touch and go. Like most drivers, he's filling the whole thing, and then way over, and we've got a fire. Not on his car, but I guess his exhaust, something with fuel, maybe something that was sitting there, but we had a nice little flames there. We got some cones rolling off in the distance. He definitely went off track there at the end.
Yeah, that was a bit of a confusing watch, and honestly, it looked really conservative up to the point where we saw a fireball, and then once that fireball was gone, he was just flooring it completely off track, exit stage right.
I'm wondering if he's having a tune issue or a power delay issue, and maybe he was full gunning it, and then the car finally responded, something sticking, something not opening. I'm not sure if that's a nitrous car or not. Maybe he didn't clear the lines beforehand. There's a lot of things that go into it. You brought up that we're mechanics. A lot of these guys learned on these cars. You know what I mean? They're putting stuff together they've never put together before. And, you know, some stuff could happen. I'm not saying that's the instance for him at all. He might be professional. I don't know him personally. But, you know, I know for a fact that I definitely didn't get properly trained, and I do some dumb stuff.
Yeah, I think it's not even the matter of learning how to fix it, but also when you finally do, you may not necessarily know how to fix it right. I see a lot of times you show up to a track and there's zip ties holding things together that you'd think only metal should. And, you know, you just got to pass a tech inspection. That's all you got to do.
All right, here we go. So this should be, I think that's Gabriel. Coming around. A little bit wide on the entrance of that second outer zone. Just getting his bumper over, which is what we were talking about. Filling the zone, but then doing the exact same thing the previous driver did. They are just not taking that line in with that transition to set themselves up for that last zone.
Yeah, so that was John Temple, and we've seen him a lot. I mean, if you pay attention to the local scene, he's almost always got clips on Instagram just floating around of him absolutely tearing it up, and he's doing a great job getting those throttle patterns with full commitment. He's coming through the course carrying lots of momentum, but we might have seen him do the exact same thing we were just talking about, where across this last outer zone, the judges are going to have to take a look, and obviously I can only see so much from up here, but it almost looked like he went completely off again with the 2 tires off. So I think, again, there's these 2 areas I think are genuinely going to make or break this competition. These drivers are going to need to be really careful.
Did you press the mute button on accident?
I absolutely hit the mute button on accident.
All right, all right. So one of our judges has also done that. I've done that today. So all 3 of us, we got this going. Everybody that's touched a mic today, we've all muted ourselves in accident.
Yeah, I'm just going to keep the button on the opposite side of my thumb from now on.
It got so bad in one of my competitions when it was raining, and I taped around it so that I wouldn't press it. And I just left my hot mic on the whole day. Some people probably heard some great conversations up here. We're like, oh yeah, what are you getting later? You know, we're talking about steaks or something stupid nobody wants to hear about.
My favorite is when someone doesn't mute it and they leave it in their pocket, and you get to know what the inside of denim sounds like.
I just can't see that. It should be Gabriel Jordan. Yeah. All right. So Gabriel Jordan should be coming on up, getting his car lined up and ready. Folks of you at home, by the way, I'm going to end up getting, I've got the stream sort of up over here. I'm going to try to get the comment section up here in a little bit. So if you're saying stuff, I'm going to try to respond to you guys in the stream. We'll try to get it to where it's a little bit closer, try to fill those voids. The thing is eventually this is going to be going bang, bang, bang. We're trying to get through this. We don't want to be here late to 11 o'clock at night. We're ready to go. Once qualifying's done, we're going straight into competition. We're going to build our bracket and put these drivers in. So, I mean, I'm pumped for the competition. That's what we're all here for. Qualifying's more of like a, all right, where do you end up on a bracket?
Yeah, and even then, a lot of people have preferences, but it's hard to have too much of a strategy because you can't control what the other drivers are going to do in qualifying. Some people like to be at the top or the bottom seeds. Other people like to be right in the middle. And unfortunately, today, you just need to make sure you're in the game. It's really easy for nerves to get the best of you because when you come to this level of competition, everyone's looking to outperform everyone. And sometimes the nerves make it so you're not even putting down the type of runs you might put down on a fun day. So these drivers need to use this as opportunity. Just think of it as more practice because they just need to get some runs down without making any critical mistakes that will take them out of the show altogether. And Gabriel Jordan was talking to him a little bit in the pits, and unfortunately, he's having a little bit of an issue here, so we might see him just doing the best he can to maximize his chances at getting a qualifying score. So usually in competition and qualifying, you do get some points just for at least getting past the qualifying round with a score. And we're talking to him in the pits, he was having a lot of issues with his clutch. So he was really using practice to figure out how much of this track he can navigate without really needing to rely on his clutch, put down too much power, and just run with the momentum of his vehicle. So we're hoping, best of luck to him. Hopefully he can do something about that. Unfortunately, there's no quick fix. So it's just going to come down to how versatile and adaptable he can be. And this is a big track. So to do it without any power is an impressive feat.
Absolutely. So going on here, the first comment is from a local driver here, Matt the Ginge, and he asked if mayonnaise is an instrument, and I want to know your opinion on that.
That's a tough one. And you know what? These days, you got to be really careful about commenting on things that are controversial. I really don't like to get into politics.
It's politics? No, Patrick, it's not an instrument, okay? I'll be the political one. Let's get this run going. Here he comes in the Z, and if I'm not mistaken, I heard that he was having clutch issues, which we're going to see here with the power. It doesn't look like it's going to matter with that entrance there. That initiation, he definitely could have had it, but And he's still going to go ahead and take his time. I really, honestly, if I was his spotter, would be telling him, hey, save it for the next run. Your clutch is going out. Get points, get into the great, the top, qualify, get some points at least. But he might also have more faith in that clutch than I do. He might feel the car and say, oh, we just lost a puck or maybe something. I don't know his full situation. But I heard he was having clutch issues. And I think he's just trying to be competitive. He's trying to get that line down so he can try to get a real score in and then be competitive, hopefully win a battle. I think that's what he's trying to get out of this.
Yeah, and I don't know if maybe he found any kind of fix or something he could do to try and increase his chances of getting performance out of that car. I did just see that car doing a little bit better than we saw it performing in some of the practice runs, though. And so if he can do a little bit more and keep that good wheel speed going and just get a score down, then he's a driver with a lot of experience with an underpowered car in the first place. So he just needs some consistency behind how that clutch is performing, and I'm sure he'll still be able to drive in the actual competition.
Absolutely. We got Lewis Lance lining up here, and he's going to be the next driver coming down. Going through here, I'm Ron Burgundy. Here we go. Coming out, and Lewis has one of the nicer bets out here, in my opinion. It's all biased, of course. Big flick in, coming around, grabbing the E-brake, getting it on, and then right into the power, grabbing it again, trying to get that angle right. He's on the line, coming around, laying the power down. That's going to make a big difference on X Factor. That's what the judges are looking for. Big smoke, big angle, coming around, going for the touch and go, putting the bumper in. Let's see how he does in this outside zone, what's been getting everybody. It looks like he went conservative on the inline, didn't even hit a cone. That's what we're looking for, guys. We got claps in the stands. That's the kind of runs that we will expect to see in this competition. Wow, am I excited to see Lewis out there.
I wouldn't be surprised if that ends up being our new points leader. I mean, the momentum he was carrying, the angle he was carrying, the aggression he was going after. In my opinion, that's the way you should always do your first run in qualifying, and that was absolutely something to be proud of. I'd love to see much more of that in competition.
Absolutely. I mean, what I'm going to bring up is nitpicky stuff, because ultimately, when someone does a good job, it's easy to point out the little things, right? When there's a perfect paint job, you can find the little scratch. But, I mean, little tiny things that the judges are going to notice that he's not going to get a perfect score from are obviously re-grabbing his hydro, break over, stopping that rear tire just to get the correct angle so he could have this flow. He set himself up properly. You could see his angle on his wheel have to change, where the judges are really looking for you to set and forget in power. They want you to have it lined up and be able to follow through and get it, especially on a lead run where you're not trying to change off of a lead that's in front of you to fill in that space. By the way, this is awesome. Most of the time, people don't get to see how animated I am and trying to describe things, and you guys at home are getting to see that on the stream, so that's awesome. The cameraman's laughing over there, so it means I'm making somebody have a good day, and that's all that really matters. But I'm pumped to be here. I know you are too. That kind of run, though, is something that makes me want to get a vet. Like, I love that he made the corrections with power and just really pulled it out at the end here and just owned the track.
Well, we've seen a lot more vets appearing in drifting recently, and with very good reason. I mean, they come with a power plant that allows you to get away with just about anything on track. A lot of times these engines are what people are just putting in any car. So to get something that all you have to do is make some modifications to the suspension, you've basically got yourself a competitive drift car. It's an absolute chassis to get started if you're trying to be competitive.
Absolutely. My friend Max told me that they're LS swapped already. They're pre-LS swapped cars. So, but to end on that note, I think you have a number for this one.
Yeah, so the qualifying score we have for this one is our new points leader with an 88.
An 88, guys. Give him a round of applause for that. That's huge. That's huge. Wow.
And you were talking about nitpicking earlier, and I think one of the things that's notable of a really good driver is when you know you already made a mistake, there's a couple ways to get back into it. So what you had mentioned is he went back for a pump of his e-brake to put himself back on the correct line. And the truth of the matter is sometimes you want to deliberately make that decision up front, because if you don't do that, this track, especially a track like this, you need to be on that line, because that line sets you up for every clipping zone on this track. So if he hadn't done that, he might have seen himself make a much larger mistake, because everything follows a flow and a rhythm.
Absolutely. Drifting is very flow. It's how you set yourself up. You know, it's all of racing really is. How do you take your apex? How do you take your line? How does it set you up for the next corner? How do you get the speed out of it? But with drifting, when you are sideways, you have less control than going straight with all four tires in contact, but yet you have to do more balletic, motions and fill zones and stuff. You have to. It's not a maybe. It's not a, oh, I can touch the rumble strip to try to shave time. It's a, no, you need to fill that zone. Otherwise, you're not getting the points.
Yeah, it's an absolute dance, and I think it's funny because if you ever compare just a driver who's doing a normal SCCA track day or just hot lapping around a track, you'll see them do a little bit of heel-toe action, but if you watch a run of a drift car driver inside, you constantly see every limb reaching for something, and it's just constantly like they're playing a video game.
Yeah, speaking of that mayonnaise comment, Matt the Ginge has a very viral video of him with his feet and the foot cam really blowing up. And it's crazy. You get to learn from it, too, as a driver. You get to see what they're doing and how they're manipulating. But coming up, we've got another driver, and that's going to be Nick Ward.
So Nick Ward, hailing from South Florida, he's been a part of the South Florida drift scene for a pretty long time, and with Taxi Garage, he's been able to do awesome things with his friends. He started a business to make drift carts, and if you've seen them online doing big drifting trains, it's almost always a guarantee that it had to do with Taxi Garage. So here we go, nice initiation to the first corner. Looking to get all the way deep into that first outside zone. We can hear those throttle patterns as he gets really decisive to get all the way out. He fills that first zone absolutely beautifully, making this transition. Now he's going to want to utilize as much momentum to swing himself across this next outside zone. As he comes close, he's going to look to do a quick touch and go, get the back bumper around here, and immediately start to transition the car. And as long as he can keep it on track, which it looks like he's able to do, that should be a pretty good qualifying score to get him in the bracket today.
Absolutely. I mean, what's cool, too, is we got to see something we haven't seen yet, which we were seeing in qualifying, or not qualifying, but in practice. He had to touch up on his front brakes over here, which was brought up in the driver's meeting, and that's why you see those front wheels stopping. Obviously, you know that. But to share you guys at home, what he's doing is trying to settle that front of the car and make it go where he needs to and kind of poke and drive, slow it down so the rear end can wrap around a little bit more. It's a dance, like we were saying. I mean, he went through and while on gas is grabbing his left foot off clutch and throwing it on that brake and left foot braking to get that front to settle, because he's probably got a bias system in there most likely with how built that car is, so there's more bias on that in the front than in the rear.
Well, that's a really common thing. In fact, there's rules about that in Formula Drift now. So for me, I've got my normal car, my competition car. My normal car, there's no rules for at a track day, so it genuinely is just called suicide brakes. The front pedal only does the front brakes. If I need to stop really quickly, I actually have to pump both very quickly. But it's an incredible technique, and it's only one of many ways to decel. So in this area, the judges have specified that they're going to need you to scrub some speed in order to properly execute this track, but it's up to the driver to decide how they want to do that. Some will choose a left foot brake method, others will do an e-brake grab, others will just go ahead and angle out the car, and if they have a really grippy side bite tune on the car, then they're just going to try to come off the gas a little bit and let the car just kind of sponge and slow down, and the drivers are going to have to anticipate when they're chasing someone which method they're going to use.
Nick Ward taking third in the qualifying so far with 79.33. Absolutely called it with that good run. It was visually there. And the judges are on point. I love this. I do like the new scoring system. I did kind of like how one judge would focus on one thing at a time. But in reality, as a viewer, that's not something they're looking at. They're looking for the overall. They're looking for that. And that's why I think it's great that this point system's here with 100 points, 10 for X Factor, and 90 for scoring for 30, 30, 30 on the line angle. And is it too many numbers?
Yeah, it's honestly, it's something I've always preferred to do, is be a spectator. I'm happy to be here announcing. I like to break down the runs, but especially when it comes down to competition, there's already been in this series last season so many times where I just wouldn't want to be a judge. I don't want to be the one that comes up with the magic number. And as a driver, and I said this a lot, this was a continuous theme, especially at ProAM, never leave it in the hands of the judges in the first place, because these guys are extremely talented. They know what they're doing, but ultimately it's your job to make your run stand out on both your lead run and your chase run. So a lot of these drivers, there was a lot of really controversial calls last season, but that just meant that you didn't execute as much as you probably could have on the first runs.
Yeah, and I mean, again, it also goes into the human element of it and what they're looking for and what they've said they're looking for. Overall, the run could have been great, but if they're not running the proper line or doing what the judges have asked them to do in this space, even though it may look phenomenal, it's not the correct line, it's not the correct statement, it's not what the car is supposed to be doing, and we're asking them to prove that they can do something that they're asked to do, and that's what this is. It is a test, you know, of their ability to control that car.
Well, the human element, it's really nice, because I think that what we can do is we can say what gets you excited when you see something happening. And we're trying to break that down into rules so we can actually put a number to it. I think we're still quite a ways away from having ChatGTP just go ahead and do all of our judging. but the wow factor is really something you just can't measure. So putting a number to it, there's always going to be that level of human error.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, they are looking at a replay and or talking about something here, so we're going to hold the cars here until they are ready. Obviously, we got to wait for our judges to be able to judge qualifying. That makes sense, right? I'm going to go ahead and pull up the comments here again real quick if I can. Give me a second.
We can't do it right now. If we get a chance to do a driver's meeting, we can tell them that we can allow them to finish, after the cone. We can remove that cone and put a finish line cone earlier. But right now we can't do anything.
Looks like there's a bounty put on the chat here. We've got a $5 bounty for the first car to throw a backy. So, I mean, I would also pitch into that. I would 100% put a $5 bill down to see a backy put in competition.
It was a long drive out here. I'd pay that much for a cool backy.
Absolutely. Did Adam run yet? No, he's actually up here judging. So Adam is right here.
Got some fans in the chat.
Yeah, we got some friends in the chat.
They're waiting on you guys.
Is hot dog a sandwich? It depends if it's on a bun or not. It depends on what kind of bun it is. If a hot dog is in a hot dog bun, it's not a sandwich. If it is in a hamburger bun, it's a sandwich. I'm just gonna blatantly tell you my feelings, and we're not gonna consider anything else. Here we go. We got another taxi garage car coming over for a qualifying run.
And here we go, this is Ryan Kaufman, and it's his birthday, so make sure you go by his pit area and say happy birthday. I was given that information by someone else, so if it's not true, then I don't know, just do it anyways. It could be a fun day for him. He's also with Taxi Garage, so once again, if you've seen the crazy carts online, they're all modified. That's him that's making his way with Nick Ward and a group of other friends. Him and Nick Ward have been traveling across the country, getting lots of track experience, and a couple mistakes there for sure. I definitely think he could do a lot better than that, but it looks like he might have at least had a clean run, and that's all drivers need to get right now.
It's funny that we're literally saying that, but again, if you get points, you are qualifying and getting into the top, what is it, 32? Yeah. So, I mean, that's a phenomenal thing, and I like how they said in the drivers' meeting that first run, it's going to hold a higher basis. If you're able to just go out, throw it down, you're not taking time, you're getting in quick and out, go get your car in the pits, you're lined up, you got your points, and we're going to make a bracket. We're trying to move it along. But, yeah, I'm excited. How are you over there, bud? Mr. Jackson?
I'm doing great.
Doing great?
Yeah.
You want to say hi to the camera? It's up here.
Oh, man.
Yeah, I know you love being on camera.
I didn't even know it's live right now.
I know it's live.
Oh, okay. Hey guys, everybody watching at home, welcome to USDrift Circuit. Thank you everybody for coming out. Thanks to our sponsors, and thanks for putting me on the spot really quick. I was not expecting this, so I'm going to hand it back to our announcers, Alec and Dustin, and I'll let them keep doing this.
Oh, I made him blush, guys. Everybody that's on the stream, if you can go in the comments, everybody out here, can you guys say thank you, Chris Jackson? He puts a lot of effort into all this and has been a huge help in the scene for Florida and all over the country, even helping with Fuel Fest. So everybody give a big thank you to 1, 2, 3. Thank you, Chris Jackson.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
Thank you,
I know it's a lot of late nights.
Not put me on the spot. I know.
It's good to put you on the spot sometimes. We're putting these drivers on the spot, asking them to do something. So it's all fair. You guys want to cut to commercial? Cut to commercial. I don't know what we're supposed to say before commercial. All right, we're back, and I heard that we got a score. I think we got a 63 flat. 63 flat on that one. How do you feel about it?
Yeah, so I mean, I believe that's both Taxi Garage guys that are now officially going to be secured into the competition bracket. So very happy to see him out here. Again, I think there was lots of room for improvement, but I know he can do much better. And at the same time, he also knows he just needs to be conservative and get his score down. So absolutely happy to see that. We're making our way through this pretty quickly. I think we're almost halfway through our entire qualifying run here.
We are, and we've got another Florida boy coming up. There's a lot of Florida drivers. This is someone that is a household name almost at this point. We've got Taylor Ray coming in with his black Corvette. We've been talking about this all through practice and everything. This is, just like Lewis's vet, one of the most set up cars out here. He has taken his time, been meticulous, and wow, has it paid off. I got to see it basically come out for test and tunes over OSW, and I'm excited to see it here at Sebring. Coming through, tons of speed, throwing it out wide, grabbing that e-brakes, grabbing that speed that he needs to, putting it in gear and coming out. Look at the smoke he's putting in, and he is babying that throttle there, but yet still producing tons of smoke. Here we're going to see him scrub some speed and put some commitment in, try to fill that zone on the outside of it. He's going to fill this touch and go for sure. Hitting a little bit of a cone, coming around, taking this outside and a smoke screen. And that's going to be hard on the judges. That's actually the first time we've had so much smoke that we couldn't see the rear end of that section. But what a car.
Yeah, it's the first time today I've smelled the smoke from up here, and we're getting a good whiff of it now. Unfortunately, they don't sell a candle for that yet at Bath & Body Works, but as soon as they do, I'll be first in line.
Do you think it's going to be Bath & Body Works or Yankee Candle? Who do you think is going to pick it up?
Oh my God, that's a question for my girl. I can't keep up.
Your girl
There's so
would know?
many. She would know.
Let's
She's in,
text her right
she's in
now.
charge
Somebody
of the candles.
in the group chat text his girl.
We've got extremely aggressive run though. Lots of speed coming into that entry. I think that's the most exciting thing on this track is that there's a lot of room for execution to even try and do something really risky like a backy. But of course, in competition, you're not going to see drivers trying to go for that. But extremely aggressive run. It probably has great points. Do we have something for that one?
It does. It has 85.33, if I'm not mistaken. 85.33, putting him into second place. Right below our points leader right now, which is Lewis, with that nice 86, I believe. 88. Jeez, 88.
Yeah, 88's going to be tough to beat.
I'm still not over it.
And even then, I think that we saw a little bit of conservatism right there from Taylor Ray. I feel like even down this midsection, we see him kind of setting himself up. That car's got some long legs to stretch, and if he's going to use all of it, he's going to need it to do it when it counts, because if he overcooks it, then that's going to damage the car, and he needs it for the whole day.
I'm not sure if it's the boost setting that he's on. I don't know if it's the gears he's got. I don't know if it's got a winners in the back. I think it does. That thing has way more power than this track needs right now, for sure. And that's not a bad thing. It's just, are we going to get to see him chasing down somebody? And I'm sure we will, because I'm sure that there's going to be some initiation thing where he's maybe not perfectly on his door, and then he's going to have all the power in the world to tuck right in and get on close as we were, you know?
Well, and a car that can surge is everything. I mean, if you end up behind a car and you're 10 car lengths behind them and you make a huge mess up, being able to surge means that, and having a very grippy car means that you don't have to sacrifice that much line in order to reel in your opponent. And that car looks like we're going to see a lot of that, but the consequence is that it gets very difficult for you to understand how quickly you're accelerating, especially when you're sideways like that. You have all these different reference points, but it's very easy to lose track of that. And by the time you come offline, unfortunately, you're very far offline.
Yeah, I mean, going into the smoke, you're on muscle memory. Luckily, with grid life and some of the experiences I've had, I've gotten to experience it more and more. But being behind Pro-Am cars and trying to chase them in a stock Z, I don't get that luxury. I need to full dive in and aim for that front tire and try to get in there. Now, we had Taylor Ray just do his run, and now we're looking at Ben. Ben in the Z with a mid-pond logo, one of my favorite tracks out there. Huge fan. Coming around and putting some work in just on the line of that zone till the end and filling it out. Good transition, and this is some X Factor with full commitment. He has given that car everything he has, kind of missing that zone a bit, but coming through, hitting this touch and go, filling it all the way and transitioning, but then cheating right there at the which is an easy answer for the judges.
Yeah, it almost seemed like he might have just bumped it into neutral or something like that.
Well, it definitely was a... Yeah. definitely another outcome that could have been, and I don't disagree that that might be exactly what happened. I know he was looking for a gear earlier when we saw him in practice, and he was just looking to finish it out, try to put some power down. I believe it's a stock VQ.
Yeah, the car, since it's very close to stock, is actually just very bulletproof. So there you can pretty much guarantee that it was just unfortunately some driver error. But that does mean that he should have another opportunity later on to do a run and hopefully lock himself in. Outside of that, I think that without that mistake, he would have been secured.
So one of our hunches is correct. It is Sasha coming up in the white, and holy cow, is he been putting some runs together.
Yeah, when he first showed up, you and I had the same reaction. We just saw a white car, and we weren't sure who it was. We just knew he was killing it. And, of course, none other than Sasha, an absolutely stellar performer in last season's USDrift Circuit Pro-Am, and definitely a contender to win the series this year. So keep your eye on him. We're looking to see a good qualifying run and good performance today if practice is any indicator of what he came here to do today.
I can see it in the way he's driving. I know he's got one mission in mind, and that's to win. He's not here to make friends. He's probably a great guy, but he's here to kick some booty.
Well, and he came very close last season, and now, of course, the last top 3 drivers from last season moved on and are now in pro spec. So he's moved some of his competitors out of the way. It might be his time to shine. Here we go with a quick initiation into the first corner. A nice long e-brake drag as he gets his way out to that outer zone. A quick brake check to get himself really situated and fill out that outer zone with accuracy. Now we're looking for a smooth transition. Sasha has been on this track before. He's very familiar with it. And right now it looks like he is just out for a Sunday drive. We had a quick bobble right now, but he's looking to do a quick transition here, which he's done great. And he always did a good job at exercising all of that angle out of his car. And nothing has changed this season with that excellent qualifying run.
What a run. What an absolute run. He set himself up perfectly, full pedal on the right, just gas down. Man, if you knew, I know I said we don't know what X Factor is, but I just saw it right there. I don't know about you guys, but that is something I can't wait to see more of.
Well, one of the big talks we always had about Sasha last season was his confidence behind his angle kit. He is someone who is never afraid to sit at full lock all the way around the track, and we can see that that's just a continuing theme. And we love the refresh because if you saw him last season, he was out here with a red S14, same car, but completely different body kit, completely different colored panels, lots of dents in most of them.
Yeah.
So he came with presence this year.
I don't know if you got to watch him come off. He was pumped, throwing his hand out the air. I give him a pump back, and he's just jazzed up. He knows he put it together, and that's something that I love. One of my favorite post-run videos I've ever seen in my life is Pat Gooden in his car when he did OSW, and he put together one of the best runs I've seen him put together. That car felt great for him, and he's literally yelling, grabbing the wheel, I love this car! And I love those moments. There's times that I've gotten to have that, and it's euphoric, and you're going to chase that the rest of your life. It's one of the best things you can have, and I think every single person on this booth has felt that.
Yeah, I mean, it's second nature. For a lot of these drivers that make their car an extension of themselves, it almost feels like you're a guitarist that's just doing an awesome solo, and to rip through it and feel awesome and be on rhythm and be on top of the entire inch of every single part of that run, it's absolutely rewarding.
79, I think 3-3, if I'm not mistaken, which is tying with somebody. Yeah, tying with Nick. We got Davey Peoples over here. The people, I think, have been calling him Small Denofa. I think I've heard. I don't know. Baby Denofa? I don't know. Huh? He looks like Pat Gooden? Baby Pat Gooden? Baby Pat Gooden. There's a lot of names, but he is a man, a myth, and a legend. And if you don't see him with a Busch Light tonight, I will pay you $100. I guarantee you he'll have one. I know he will. Great guy, great party, and really just a fun guy all around. Can't wait to see him put some runs together. He's had some amazing opportunities in the last year. He's gotten to drive with Vaughn Gittin Jr. and hang out with some of the RTR guys, which is phenomenal. Now let's go ahead and see what he can do in this Mustang, putting it together so it's not all just talk. Big grab, smoking it in there, putting a lot of power in, and he's powering out. You can see him dragging those front wheels around, coming through, trying to get into that zone and straighten out that car, coming in on this transition, trying to three-wheel it, trying to come through, going nice and big. Oh my God, running the edge, touching it with his bumper, coming into the last zone, trying to get a tire in there, and I mean, big throw at the front there. Just, I don't think set him up for success. He tried to check it, tried to control it over there. But what I'm telling you, he was putting it in. He was putting the work in, you know, and he was driving hard as hell.
Yeah, he did a good job out there, at least making sure that he got himself a score. And as we were kind of talking about, you know, unfortunately, even when you see a good run, you got to make sure that we're critiquing it. I think he definitely has some room for growth. We saw him kind of coming off of a lot of those zones. He seems like he's very comfortable in the car. I don't know if it was, again, being a little bit conservative to maybe not worry about stepping out. Because on this track, there's no walls. You just have to make sure you don't step over the lines. So if he just needed to make it through and just make sure that he's within some proximity to the clips, you're locked in and it doesn't matter. But just like you, I've seen him doing a lot of stuff in the last year. Incredible driver. I'm sure he's going to keep turning it up. And in practice, he was kind of experimenting with a little bit of conservatism, going all out. So I think he knows his range on this track. I think we just saw him making sure he gets in the show.
You hit the nail on the head with the range word. He has definitely found out what that car is going to be able to do and what he wants it to do, and he's been really playing with it today. I think he might have overcooked it a little bit coming in, or he was going for X Factor. But I think the conservative call, honestly, if I was in his headphone, that's not a bad call. That's not a bad call for the pits to say, hey, let's go ahead and do a conservative run, get some numbers on the board, get in this bracket, and move forward.
All right, so that's going to be a 61, which is a lower score, but it's still enough to make sure that you're locked in and you're going to be part of the competition. We know that he's very confident. We've actually seen him here before, and we've also seen him at Fuel Fest. He goes to OSW, so very excited to see him in the competition. I'm hoping that most of these drivers, again, since we have a smaller bracket, will just do what it takes to be able to drive the rest of the day.
Coming out, King's Performance coming in with the FD here, and he's another Florida boy. Absolutely been going through it. He has had some issues with fuel pressure and having something going on with the pumps. I think this is his second regulator that he's gone through, but somehow still putting it together. I hope they figure it out. He's looking to put a run down and I think try to get this car dialed in if it is not already. That was Willie again in the FD. One of the more beautiful cars in my opinion. I really like FDs. I think it's a cool car to have out here.
No, that car is a work of art, and I got to see it really nice and up close and personal at Fuel Fest. I didn't get a chance to walk the pits now, but Fuel Fest was the first time I got to see it right there in front of me, and it really does look like something that should be at a car show. I mean, some of these cars, I almost feel like I would be too worried to go out there and drive, but of course, these are all the guys who work on them and are very comfortable, like we were talking about earlier, and man, that car can put down some power.
Yeah, I think the last time you and me got to hang out was at Fuel Fest, right?
Yeah, I saw you there a little bit. You got a chance to get some track time, get out there on track.
I love being behind the microphone, and it's hard to take it out of my hands sometimes, but at the same time, I want to be in the seat in the car. That's why I'm here. I might not be able to afford to be at this exact event or not have the car put together enough or have the track suit and all those things just yet, but the amount that I'm elevating, I'm trying to get there one day.
Absolutely, and what's nice about this is that a Pro-Am licensing series is something that we haven't had in Florida very consistently. We've had it kind of off and on. We've had a couple of attempts. Unfortunately, nothing has been a full-fledged Florida Pro-Am series. So now that we have one, I know there's a lot of drivers that maybe don't think that they're ready to give it a shot. But if you're already in Florida, I encourage you, come on out, join the competition, see what you're made of, and see where you place against. Because it's not just the drifting experience, the competition and strategy, and that is all its own experience that counts. You almost get your own seat time towards that of being under pressure, trying to come up with what the best strategy is to come into a full day where everything is high stakes. And I know for some of these drivers, they've been waiting a very long time because there's people who are more than talented enough but don't have the resources to go do a Pro-Am series on another part of the country.
No, it's hard. We do have a score for Willie, 63.33. So he's on the board in the 60s, which it seems like most of the field's falling into. So, I mean, that's not a bad thing. I mean, we're not seeing low scores popping up, which anytime that we've seen a low score probably that was going to happen, they ended up zeroing out or having something else happen. But, no, having a series here in Florida is huge. I think that Florida has the availability and can grow and be one of those states that you think of first when you think of drifting. I just think we have a couple little things that we could iron out. Maybe some more tracks would be nice. But, that costs money or something. I don't know. Line up, it looks like Ryan Acevedo. Some call him an avocado. I call him an Acevedo. He's lining up with his brand new livered car. Just got it done for this series. The pink and white is phenomenal. I have a white Z myself, and I think they look beautiful. Zero bias. 100% bias. 100% bias. So, yeah, he's out there warming up some tires. I think he just did a switch off of Acceleras onto, I think he's on Valinos. changes for the season. People change stuff up, especially with power levels, how cars are running, stuff like that. It's all preference too. I mean, I'm a big Kenda guy.
And Ryan Acevedo, he was here last season.
Yeah.
And he did a phenomenal job competing last season. He was out. His car was grippy. It was set up. It doesn't look like there's any major changes made to his car, which is a good thing because he did a stellar job last season. Definitely also a very valuable contender for the series.
Yeah, he's coming around. I think he's got a new power plant in there, and you're seeing him put it to work. New tune, really just showing up, trying to get that zone out there, putting the smoke down and the hammer down, and he is powering into the second zone, coming around, grabbing that nice mid-line into this sweep here, looking for the touch and go, grabbing it and trying to fill this outer zone, putting the angle in and putting the smoke down. That is some commitment there, and the judges are going to reward him for it, and the audience as well. What's up, buddy?
That was excellent. An absolutely awesome run from Ryan Acevedo. As we could see, nothing has changed as far as how much of a rocket ship that car is. Last season, his car would throttle up against every single car and had tons of surge ability. He was able to get very, very close and also pull away from a lot of drivers. So there's a couple of different car setups out here where they're completely different cars, but they're all the top, very, very quick cars. I'd love to see them all go against each other today.
Absolutely. I do want to go ahead and shout out with all this stuff. I know we've been going over a couple times, but US Drift Series for putting this on. We've obviously got Shift Culture, Taxi Garage, and of course our golden guys over here in the tent. They are killing it. What's the actual name for them? Golden what? Golden Grown. And I think we got a score growing up from the computer here. And it is Sam, is that his last name? Or first? His actual name. Oh, interesting. So Ryan Acevedo with a 78 even. You're confusing me here. I know him by the name he goes by. I didn't know his legal name. I'm not going to call it his government name like that. Coming up, I believe, is Miles, if I'm not mistaken, right? I can't see. Yep. Miles Flick. Miles Flick still has my hammer. It's in his trailer. Miles Flick, if you're watching this, can I have my hammer? Just stop your run. Don't do your qualifying. Just give me my East Wing hammer. I'm being very sarcastic. You can keep it. He's lined up and ready, looking for the thumbs up from the judges. The judges are standing up. Awesome guy working out this car. Definitely figuring it out. Looking beautiful. Got to do some cool events. I know he was just at the Ford event at OSW. Looking good on the silver wheels, coming around, big grab, smoke show coming in, filling in the zones, a lot of commitment, little off throttle there, trying to make sure he stays in zone, but then transitioning in with a lot of power, coming in and taking that second zone by storm, filling it all the way. Big angle coming into that touch and go, coming around to this final zone. Again, big locked angle, and that is what the judges are going to be looking for. I'm going to tell you right now, that was probably the most angle I've seen today.
That was excellent execution. He did a great job using up all of the track, which is one of the things the judges really want to see. He kept himself at tons of angle, kept the throttle going, and that car, I almost feel like he could do even more with just the slightest bit more grip. He's doing absolutely excellent. That car is very.
He needs a little bit more of a
just a little bit more bite, but he is absolutely doing an awesome job keeping tons of angle. But he's very, very comfortable with the car exactly as it is. And honestly, if there even is a way to improve your car, if you know it the way you know it, come out here, do what you can with it, because you'll probably drive even harder that way. And he just did a great job there in qualifying.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I know Mateo on the crew over there helping him, as well as some other friends. It looks like we got a score.
All right, so he's now our second place qualifier with 86 points.
There
86.
You go, buddy. Tell him on the radio. I want to see his fist in the air.
That was
job,
excellent.
guys. Good job.
Super well deserved on that one. That was a lot of fun to watch. And even if you're following that driver, what I like about it is that we were talking about how drifting just follows a really consistent flow, and you can almost tell exactly where that car was going to go. It was almost like it was just a simulation of just watching a car do, as if we were giving a preview of what the judges would like to see. Absolutely excellent.
Yeah, I mean, every driver out here has been busting their butt. I just want to give, on top of obviously the sponsors and everybody out here, as well as the snack shack that's over there giving food and drinks, everybody on the crew and the drivers, I just want to always thank you guys for coming on out here. Without you, there is no show, and you guys are putting all the time and energy and money into it. So thank you again, drivers and crew. You can clap for him. Thank you. I see you. Mama B, I got you. Alex Pewitt coming up. Judges are giving the thumbs up, and we're going to see him. He's already heated up his tires in the burn box. And he is going out. Pandemonium, I believe, is his Instagram name, and hopefully we see something awesome. Coming through, grabbing the front tires, trying to transition it out, and looking like he's having an issue just getting that rear end out. I don't know if he's being conservative with it or what, but we're going to see some power here now. Coming through this transition. That's what we want to see. Looks like he's got this side of the track pretty well figured out. Buick on the power into the touch and go, coming around for the transition, finishing up in this last outer zone, putting in a run for sure.
You can almost always guarantee you're going to run into him and his dad at any South Florida drift event. He's such a great participant in all of the South Florida drifting events, and he's even gotten to do a couple really cool things. He's actually one of the few drivers down here that got to take part in a veterans event that was right there on Las Olas in downtown Fort Lauderdale, where they shut down A1A right there on the street, and he got to drift back and forth right in front of the notorious Elbow Room. If you're a Florida local in South Florida, you know that is a little beach bar that's very famous to Fort Lauderdale area. So a lot of really cool experience. He's been around for a while. That car, again, he got lots and lots of seat time with minimal changes to the car. He's added a little bit of power here, a little bit of suspension modification, but that is another person where it's just he tries to keep everything as uniform as possible and just get as much time behind the wheel as possible.
Yeah, I think it's great too with you got knowing all the SoFlo drivers. I've got the Central pretty far down because those are our local areas and tracks. So
between
it's
us,
cool.
we've got Florida covered.
We got Florida covered. We're embracing Florida like a warm hug. All right, I'm hugging. We got points numbers.
Yeah, so that's a 68 for Alex Puig. 68 for Alex Puig.
68, and he's looking great.
Yeah, he's definitely got room for growth on that one. But again, I think especially with not every driver getting a guaranteed second run, they just want to get the lap in and park it. And I think that he's also one of those drivers where, you know, we saw a completely different version of him in practice than we just saw in qualifying. I'm thinking the practice version is what we'll get in competition. And you definitely don't want to break something in your qualifying run. Like, that would be the worst time to over push your car. If you only have 5 runs out of your car before something breaks, hopefully that all happens when it counts.
For sure. And not saying that this is the circumstance for him at all, but nerves are also a thing. When you know you've got another run and it's a fun run and everything like that. I mean, when you're out with the homies and you're doing, you know, fun runs and putting bro lines down, it's chill. Some things mess up, you take a weird line, whatever, it's fine. You know, you just go right back in and tighten it up. Here, we're asking for them to be on the spot after a little bit of practice with the circumstances, their car, the way it is, all that stuff. These circumstances are never going to repeat exactly again, and they're trying to make something happen. So.
Yep. No, absolutely. And the nerves are real, too, because you see everyone in line in front of you. You have everyone else that's also acting very serious. You're trying to stay in your mental place to stay focused. It's a very different mode than what you're at a fun day.
Some of these comments are hilarious. We love to see the comments, guys. I'll try to mention some of them here in a bit, but right now we're going to go ahead and watch our gentleman here come on down the line. We are looking at Daniel coming around in the G, filling that outer zone. Doing good. We got Adam standing on his toes, loving to see a G out here, filling that second zone, coming in. Got his angle out, touching the touch and go, and coming around to swing it in. Going a little too wide, unfortunately, on that outer zone. I believe I'm seeing the judges say that that was probably a 2-tire situation, which we've talked about previously is going to be a 0.
Yeah, we saw a couple of peace signs pop over here from the judges, so we know that means they were paying attention to that one. It's a real tight corner, and again, the whole track is so fast. And then this last area, if you get too romantic about that, and then you end up at the very end of the track, next thing you know, you just see those white lines come up really close. You have to plan to lose that speed. By the time you're there, it's too late.
Yeah, no romancing the stone here. We're not going to be going out into that zone area, so got to try to stay on track. I'll try to stay on track with my commentary too. I'll look big. Gotcha.
Like if we're turning to each other like this, that way it's cool.
Makes sense. Rob Lopez, hi, I like to party. Absolutely. Hi, I'm Dustin. I like to party. We got another car coming in. I think this is one of our last 2 cars, isn't it? Yeah. Steven. Oh, my goodness. We're in for a treat. He is an animal. If you guys go to OSW, or if you're even familiar with what the king of OSW is, if you've seen those live streams, this man puts it together. Very solid driver. Love to see that he's gotten his car put together. Was previously driving with another team, building his cars at the same time. He's gotten to fully focus on it. One of the most genuine guys, and he will genuinely go out of his way to help you set up your car. He was fixing other drift cars for a while as well. And I just love to see him coming out here and competing. Bell Raceworks team as well. Coming in with some big pops, big angle coming in, grabbing that e-brake, holding on to it, getting into the power, trying to get into this outer zone, grabbing a cone or two, coming in on that outer line of it, and then hammer down the smoke, the pop. The car looks beautiful, standing up, all squatted back, looking at that full commitment, coming into this touching zone, having another cone because he's cone happy today, and he's grabbing that zone, and a nice correction to make sure he doesn't go in that outer zone, completing his run. What a dramatic car. Holy cow, is that pretty going sideways.
That was excellent. And we were just talking about how everyone's having all this trouble on that decel area. You saw him just for a moment take a breath off the throttle, let his car just kind of rotate, and he almost scrubbed all that speed through the transition, and it set him up so he could just throttle out. He didn't have to worry about overcooking it, stepping over the line, and it just went so seemingly perfect with the rest of the run.
That is seat time for sure. That guy knows where to put the car, knows how to control it. The car stays together, he stays together. He's going to be a real contender for this, and he's hunting for that license.
Well, that's another driver that we've seen here before, getting a little bit of seat time on this track. So being able to come out and actually drive the track, even if it's just once, and then going back home, having months to think about where you could have done better, and coming back out again, it speaks volumes, especially if you've got someone out there just taking video, or you have the stream, or you can just go back and rewatch everything yourself and really critique it.
Yeah, there's a lot to learn. I know seeing some content come recently with my car and stuff, you go, oh, wow, I was closer, I was farther than I thought, you know, that kind of stuff. Let's see these numbers here for our main man. Holy cow, did he pull off an 88.33, taking second place, guys. Make some noise. Absolutely ticked the marks and made it happen. Love to see it, love to see it. Last but certainly not least, we've got our last driver of qualifying here, Lee Yearwood, coming on up. Love to see that, James, that you're watching at work. Absolutely. By the way, if you're on the stream or here, make sure you guys go on the social media, give them a follow, share the stream, share what you're passionate about. I'm sure that it is more fun to talk about this than just one random sports game. This is going to be the highlight of someone's conversation. Make sure you show them into some new kind of sport.
And if you're watching this on stream, make sure you follow US Drift Circuit on Facebook, Instagram. Make sure that you're tuned in. We announce when all these events are going to happen. Of course, they only go live on the YouTube. So if you want to stay in touch with what future events we're going to have, and also US Drift Circuit also does Plain Fun Days, stay in tune to the Instagram. So here we go. Lee Yearwood coming in with a BMW this season. He joined us last season with a 240. This time, I believe it's an RB-powered BMW, and he's doing a great job. He's very comfortable on this track last season. His car is very capable this season. Doing a great job creating a smoke show through that transition, making his way to this outside zone. Doing an awesome job on angle. Let's see how he does coming up to this outer zone, and with his transitions been that everyone's been way too hot coming in. He rotated his car beautifully, and it looks like he was able to keep it within the lines. Absolutely excellent job by Lee Yearwood.
On a clinic. The main man is still scrubbing speed out there. That was full commitment, full lock, and I mean, there's a reason he's where he's been. I mean, there's a reason he did so well last season, walking away with a license, if I'm not mistaken, right?
Yeah, it's very cool to see him back this season. I mean, obviously, when drivers are participating and they're trying to get their license and move on up, you know, they can at any point make their decision on what they want to do, if they want to stay here, move to Prospect. I don't know if there's anything else that was going on with him. All I know is I'm happy to see him here because he does an excellent job adding to the competitive spirit that we have here at US Drift Circuit.
Absolutely. I mean, he's going to be a character out here. He's going to be a threat for everybody. And I mean, there's top list names and there's top list people. There's a competition going on, obviously, but man, he looks like he'd be fun to drive with.
Absolutely.
Man. Good job, brother. Good job, brother. What's going on here? Guys, I don't think there's going to be a lot of surprise here, but I want to be super ecstatic about this. Lee Yearwood breaking into the 90s with a 90.33, putting it together. Hearing big numbers out of the fans out there, big stuff from Booth over there. We got all the drivers also agreeing. We love to see when that kind of stuff comes together. Big, big shout out to him and his team. What a great job. What a beautiful car.
Yeah, and he's one of those, again, that has just been in this whole community for such a long time, all the way back to CFRC. I've seen him in a bunch of different chassis, from that 240 he was in last season. Now we get to see him in a BMW. I've even seen him in a 240 pickup truck, which was a very cool thing to see him in for a little while. Then that got passed around. I mean, and he's also an incredibly talented mechanic as well. So he's always been, you know, tinkering his hands on something, always had a project going. So very cool to see him out here today.
Yeah, I mean, guys, if you need motivation, and I'm all about giving it out there, put the work in. You can be out here having this kind of fun too, hanging out with the friends, going to the track. Even if it's just to come out and hang while your car's still on jack stands, take those little nights out instead of maybe going out to the club or going to the bar. Spend it, hang out with your friends, and put some work in on that 240 that's been sitting in your garage. Not specifically calling out a 240, I swear. It's just what popped into my head.
Okay, Mr. went partying last night.
I did go partying last night. 100%. We can't all be me, okay? We can't all show up to the driver's meeting with our hoodie and our sunglasses. Hey, my car's put together. My car's put together. All right, so we got. So we're done with our first run through. Now we're going to be going through our drivers that zeroed, or are we allowing them to go for higher numbers if they wanted to go for other numbers? So we're just confirming real quick, and I'm going to tell you guys more about it after this run. But if you do zero, that's what you're seeing right now. People that have zeroed through trying to place here. So we're going to see what I thought was going to be conservative runs, but this guy is not doing a conservative run. He's throwing it down. Coming through, putting the power down, filling in this next zone. Absolutely on it, taking up all the track he can. Coming into the touch and go, and where I think the last time he messed up is coming up in this back section of this zone, and he conservatively grabbed it, securing himself a spot to move forward and some points.
Yeah, so we didn't get a chance to fully explain how that works now. So anyone who got a zero is going to get a chance to do an additional run, but they cannot place any higher than 18th, because we have a lot of drivers who have actually gotten their first score. They're locked in. They will not be doing a second qualifying run. This is one last chance to just get in the competition.
Right. So basically, it was a way in saving time and still securing something that's fair, because obviously we're not going to do a one and done qualifier. You know, we're going to give people the chance that if they zero out or have technical issues or something, that they're able to run another round and hopefully put down some points, which that young gentleman just did. And I hate that I don't know the names of everybody, but there are more drivers out here than I'm used to that I just don't know. People coming in from out of state, people coming from South Florida that I don't personally know. So as soon as I get to look at the name, I'll get you guys who that was.
I believe that was Zalpa and the gray BMW that just went by. So you know, I love seeing the BMWs out here because they have so much side bite. These things can absolutely rip, and the BMWs, it almost seems like anyone who's in one, like they have to be very aggressive drivers, because they're also kind of twitchy in nature when you get them all that grip. And he's answered the call. We see a little bit of bobbing, some mistakes on that qualifying run, but we also know that's another extremely capable driver. But that car needs to be muscled around.
Absolutely. I'm sorry, I'm being distracted by these beautiful 240s. This is like the third one I've seen, and that just is a stunning vehicle. But yeah, no, the drivers are really putting it down and doing what they need to do. Big shout out, obviously, Golden Grown again, Kenda Tires, USDrift Series, the Shift Culture, Taxi Garage, all the drivers coming out here, all their tire sponsors and everything. And later on, when we're announcing and get more time per car, we're going to go through what sponsors are on those cars, what's maybe done to them, kind of give you guys more of a breakdown and stuff. But right now, we're trying to get through qualifying and really just knock everything out?
Yeah, we've got some extra footage while we're all doing this. We have some off-camera interviews that are going to be going on with the drivers. We'll try our absolute
Here, Pro Spec or any other race series, stuff happens. I mean, you can have an international driver like what's going on with FD right now, has tires, has the car, has everything ready, but can't come back into the country over a visa or something along those lines. You know, there's all kinds of situations that can happen. Somebody can get sick, ill, family situations. You know, we're all human, like we had said earlier. But you know, one of the cool things that I always think is I'd rather be in the nice middle to top high. Being at the very top is great, and if you can be there, good. Get there, you know? But being able to punch up and get up higher and continuously get points and get better throughout the season, it's better than coming out hot and then be a shooting star and then falling off in the next 2 rounds and not performing the same way, or not performing under the pressure of having that target under your back. Because now you're going to have drivers driving completely different against you. They know you're the #1 points holder. They know they got to put the show on. They know they got to put the work in, and they're going to do whatever they can to knock you out.
Well, the emotional ups and downs, I think it's really funny because when I try to explain this, and there's a lot of guys who, they might date a girl who's not into cars, so they try to explain it. And the way I always try to explain it is that it's very much as if, like, the way that people are keeping up with the Kardashians. I was like, it's the man drama then. For us, we have our own version of this drama. And finally, with, like, Netflix's Drive to Survive, it's a whole different motorsport, but we get a taste of that. And now people really understand that it's the same in all motorsports. If you go watch what's on Drive to Survive for F1, and then you come to a drift track, it's the same thing, just a different discipline.
Yeah, no, I mean, Netflix, if you're watching, what's up?
Yeah,
let's make a Drift to Survive. The crowd thinks there should be a Drift to Survive Netflix, so it's a poll. The people at a drift event think there should be a drift-based show. So. Points on these last few? Have we said points? John Temple coming up. Big car, big power coming in. Grabbing the brakes, coming around. Getting into that zone just a little bit at the end there. Coming through, hammer down, looking to get this zone. Filling out the space. Coming through, mixing the touch and go. And then outside on the final zone here. That was a very inside run and outside run at the same time.
Yeah, lots and lots of room for improvement on that one. But again, he's coming with a 0. I really do advise, and genuinely, if I was working with any of these teams, just go the conservative route. Keep it between the lines, get across the line, and call it quits at that point. I know he's capable of much more, so bear with us if you're watching us. Definitely don't judge the drivers by what they're doing right now. They've all spent a lot of money to be here. They just need to know the order they're actually going to compete at, and then when it comes competition time, all these guys are going to crank it up to the max and show you what they came here for.
Absolutely. What's up, Jackson? Coming up, obviously, at the end of qualifying, we're going to be going straight into the competition.
All right, here we go. So Gabriel Jordan going to go ahead and attempt to make a run, put it together. We know he was having trouble with his clutch earlier on. We're going to see if he's still having those issues and can just seem to muscle through, or maybe he's found a fix. And, ooh, as I say that, unfortunately, just went a little bit too off track.
Definitely a cool car. I think I got to drive with its previous owner. It's got some good stuff, good bumper, good wing and stuff going on, but I do believe in that outer zone. We know. Well, I didn't realize my mic was still turned off there. Oh, my mic is not working on the live stream, but you guys can hear me. So we've got the White Z coming out here trying to go ahead and qualify, and as soon as I started talking, I guess he didn't want to qualify anymore.
Yeah, it seemed like he aired off the tires.
Give him a wave, guys, everybody. He came all the way out here.
Yeah, one of our younger drivers out here too, I believe, and he was out here last season. Same car, very comfortable in it, a little bit underpowered, but he's able to always get around the track. I'm not sure what happened that time. Unfortunately, we also saw him come around that first run where we saw just some sort of a driver error come around. So
I mean, he could be having a shifter issue. He's taking the longer route. He might be trying to figure out something with the car. It's unfortunate because through practice, I saw him a couple times. He might be fighting an issue this whole time.
yeah, no, absolutely. It's very tough to tell. And where we were talking about earlier, when it comes to nerves can look like any kind of mechanical issue.
Yeah, but I just thought we have a trackside person that can probably find out for us.
Yeah, we'll go ahead and we'll hopefully send someone over there for an interview, try to get some answers, and have that for you later on today.
Here we go. In the G. Sounding great off of those concrete walls, by the way. Oh, someone's touching me. What's up, buddy? Oh, thank you. Coming around, kicking the cone in that last outer zone here. Sorry, I got distracted. Somebody brought me food. So he's going to get a score there, and the judges are going to let you guys know. And I think that was our last run for qualifying, correct? Maybe? Maybe? You guys can't hear us anyways.
Is 100% organic. Stay tuned for our newest Golden Groans Bacon Blaze. We are the first and only original home of CB Pizza. Hey, how you doing? I'm Nico Christides, the owner of Golden Grown. I started a hemp farm in Sierra Valley, California for my autistic daughter, Elena, and my CBD is 100% organic. The difference between THC and CBD is all natural. It's 100% organic. THC is mind-altering. That's not what Golden Grown sells. Golden Grown sells an experience of an organic, natural supplement to make you relax. One of our best sellers is a CBD oral strip. It is absolutely amazing. 100% organic, FDA approved. You take a strip out, you put it on your tongue, it dissolves in your mouth, and it's total relaxation, stress reliever in about 20 minutes. I wouldn't sell something to you that I wouldn't personally have in my own home. Stay tuned for our newest Golden Groans Bacon Blaze. We are the first and only original home of CB Pizza.
Instagram, YouTube.
Station. Hey, Chris. Chris Jackson. Chrissy boy Jackson. Can you please message me if we're doing a driver's meeting? All right, perfect. I just got to let the drivers know. I'm getting text messages. All right, all drivers, if you guys can hear me, all drivers, 15 minutes before we are going hot into competition, the bracket is about to be posted. We will let you guys know. I will shoot and respond to messages. What'd you say? Gotcha.